boys and girls. It's so good to be back with you. This is a very special week. This week, we are here to say thank you to some people that make Holy Comforter the most wonderful school. And I'm talking about some people you might just know. Raise your hand if you know Mrs. Blankowski and Mrs. Losick, or Mrs. Brady and Mrs. Belitas. They are missing their little 2.5-year-old so very much. Raise your hand if you know Mrs. Moriarty or Mrs. Kapalka. How about Mrs. Playwin and Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Kim? And Mrs. Shoemaker and Mrs. Roper and Mrs. Dempsey? They missed their 3-year-old and 4-year-old classes so much. What about if you're in pre-K? Do you know Mrs. Garaby and Mrs. Blake? And Mrs. You're right, Mrs. Dunn and Mrs. Snyder and Mrs. Hines? And Mrs. Stanmeyer, Mrs. Wong and Mrs. Hollow? I bet you guys are missing your switcheroos and your Friday fun dates. And kindergarten with Mrs. Finnerty and Mrs. Lim and Mrs. Dunn to help you learn how to read and write. And then who teaches you all music? Who's our music lady? Mrs. Bucko. You're right. And don't forget that Mrs. McClellan and Mrs. Malone and even me in the office. We are all a part of the school that loves you very much. But this week is special because we're here to say a very special, do you remember how to say thank you in sign language? You're right, a very special thank you to our teachers because they are the ones that make us so very wonderful. And they all love you very much because you have a special way of giving them hugs and giving them smiles and giving them the best days all together at our school. So I found a very special book that this kind of shows you how much your teachers at Holy Comforter love you and why we are so thankful to them. The book is called Guess How Much I Love You. This is Big Nut Brown Hair. These are your teachers. This is you. Your Little Nut Brown Hair. And this is the story of how they tried to tell each other how much they loved one another. Guess how much I love you. Oh, I forgot to say, when I'm talking about special people, I have to wear my special Minnie Mouse ears. The teachers, yes, very special people deserve my very special ears. Little Nut Brown Hair, who was going to bed, held on tight to Big Nut Brown Hair's very long ears. He wanted to be sure that Big Nut Brown Hair was listening. Guess how much I love you, he said. Oh, I don't think I could guess, said Big Nut Brown Hair. This much, said Little Nut Brown Hair, stretching out his arms as wide as they would go. Do you ever do that to your mom and dad and say, I love you this much? Big Nut Brown Hair had even longer arms, but I love you this much. Oh, that's a lot, thought Little Nut Brown Hair. I love you as high as I can reach, said Little Nut Brown Hair. What do you think Big Nut Brown Hair is going to do? You ready? We're going to go up. I love you as high as I can reach, said Big Nut Brown Hair. Oh, that is very high, thought Little Nut Brown Hair. I wish I had arms like that. Then little Nut Brown Hare had a good idea. He tumbled upside down and he reached up the tree trunk with his feet. I love you all the way up to my toes, he said. What do you think Big Nut Brown Hare is going to do? Are you thinking maybe he's going to go upside down and stretch his toes up? Are you ready? And I love you all the way up to your toes too, said Big Nut Brown Hare, swinging little Nut Brown Hare high up over his head. I love you as high as I can hop, laughed little Nut Brown Hare. Hop, 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 bouncing up and down all over the place. I know you guys can hop, yes. But I love you as high as I can hop, said Big Nut Brown Hare. And he hopped so high that his ears touched the branches above. That's good hopping, thought little Nut Brown Hare. I wish I could hop like that. I love you all the way down the lane as far as the river, said little Nut Brown Hare. He thought that was so far. But Big Nut Brown Hare could see a little farther. I love you across the river and over all those hills, said Big Nut Brown Hare. Oh, that's very far, thought little Nut Brown Hare. He was almost too sleepy to think anymore. Then he looked beyond the thorn bushes out into the big, dark night. Nothing could be further than the sky. I love you right up to the moon. And little Nut Brown Hare closed his eyes. Oh, that's far, cried Big Nut Brown Hare. That is very, very far. Big Nut Brown Hare settled little Nut Brown Hare into his bed of leaves. He leaned over and he kissed him good night. Then he lay down close by and he whispered with a smile, I love you right up to the moon too, and back. And that's how much the teachers at Holy Comforter love the girls and boys. Oh, and I hear my doggy's playing with his toy. So it's time for me to go. I gotta go play with Ollie. But I will see you next time and we'll do a little bit more science. Okay? Bye. Make sure you tell your teachers on Flipgrid or in an email or a video that you love them and are thankful. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.